It's here. NBA 2K20. Guys, the 2K devs have just released a whole report on all the first leaks of this upcoming 2K's MyGM mode. And as a MyGM fanatic, I'm so excited to let you guys know what I thought of this first release and the first hints of what will be new in this year's MyGM. So let's get right into it. Before that, I have linked the report in the description below, so please open it up and follow along as you listen to me describe all the new features that they're going to bring in. So, the first thing I noticed in the report in the first two paragraphs was the topic of team chemistry and morale. They were talking about players like six men getting upset about how they weren't getting in the starting lineup. And as a guy who played NBA 2K MyGM a lot the past 2 years, this is by far the biggest issue with the mode and all of My League and MyGM in general. The morale system is incredibly broken. Any player that's a 78 overall or better pretty much will get upset and will demand a trade after a month or two if they're not put in the starting lineup. There's no way for you to build a team of 80 plus overalls through your seventh man without one or two of them getting angry about something, whether it's their minutes or not working hard enough in practice. So I'm really hoping that this dev and what they're saying in this release is that they're fixing those morale issues. The new features. The first one is action points. Action points are going to be essentially a cap on how many interactions or actions you can do during a certain cycle. So basically as a GM, I may get 2 action points per week. And with one of those action points, I can pretty much do anything. I can talk to staff, talk to players, I can look at a trade, I can sign free agents, I can scout players. So it looks like it's going to be much more structured than in the past years. The screenshot they gave was 1.5 action points, which I don't know how the half will work. Maybe for bigger tasks like playing games or making trades, that'll be a whole action point. But talking to someone or scouting could be a half an action point. I don't know. And they were pretty vague on the actual uses of action points in this release. But I'm sure that will come up in future releases. Also, there are now official online scores and leaderboards for MyGM. This is actually really exciting for me because MyGM, it's always been a solo mode. It's MyGM. I'm the GM. It's me in the computer simulation. This is really going to help bring MyGM into the online mode of the game. It may not be directly you competing with somebody else in your MyGM series, but it's still going to look at how you are rebuilding your team or improving your team related to the online 2K community. I'm not sure how you technically get points. They did say the basic things like winning games, winning championships, have players winning MVP and awards like that will give you points, and making trades and free agency moves. But I don't know how those are scaled. I don't know which one's worth more. I mean, you can take a guess, but you know 2K is always random with this sort of thing. But it will be very interesting to see how the system actually works. I'm definitely going to be going for number 1. I mean, my most popular series on this channel have always been MyGM 2K videos. So I'm really looking forward to this aspect of the game. And the feature that I looked at and I thought that is what I have been waiting for years, and that's the skill tree. This was near the end of the release on Facebook. It's the skill tree. There are 5 branches, and let's just go through them really quickly. They're by their first initials. So the first one is L for leadership, and if you choose these skills, you can increase your trust among players and staff. You can get in-game attributes for your players, or attribute boosts, I should say, and also easier press conferences. There's D for diplomacy, where you have better relationship with the owner, other GMs. You can improve revenue and be able to attract big-time free agents. The third branch, I, is insight, which will increase the mood and trust of pretty much everyone. And one thing that is extremely surprising, the ability to unlock the trade finder. Maybe I read this wrong in the report. I'm pretty sure I didn't. But within the insight branch, there is something about being able to access the trade finder, which hints at the fact that we may not be able to immediately use the trade finder in MyGM. It will probably be immediately accessible in my league, but in MyGM you may have to unlock the trade finder through the I branch in the skill tree. And the final one, there are two more. F for finance, which obviously you can increase revenue, sign players for lower salaries, and a new feature within the skill tree and within MyGM that's on sort of a lower rung compared to the other things is get sponsorships. I have no clue what this means. I don't know if, like, in my career last year, you can like buff out your GM and have them in all the Nike gear or something. But yes, sponsorships will be available through the finance branch. And finally, FC, which will be facilities, which is going to be your main avenue for increasing the attributes of your players. And also you can upgrade, I would assume, your stadium with facilities, better training facilities, recovery, stamina, all these different things for higher revenue with your stadium and attribute upgrades. Now, some minor things. There are now going to be updated relationships with other general managers. Last 2K, 2K19, well, I guess it's still the current 2K, but in 2K19 MyGM, you just had the general trust bar, just like you have with your owner or with your players. There's been the same trust bar that you can raise all the way to 99 and have all the way at like the mid 30s or high 20s. But it looks like they're going to revamp that and really make it a little more in-depth to the type of relationship you have, which is huge in being an actual general manager. And another thing, it used to be that only the owner could give you goals, but now anybody in the entire organization can give you goals. So players can ask for somebody to be traded, coaches can ask for somebody to be remove some of their minutes, but you don't have to complete all of them, just like in the previous 2Ks. But depending on which ones you complete, those relationships will change based upon that. So my thinking on this is, and this is not confirmed, my prediction is that if you have a goal from a GM to trade player A, but player A says as a goal for you to release player B because he's taking minutes, you have to side with one of them. If you side with player A, you lower the trust of your assistant GM. But if you trade player A, you lose the trust of the locker room. So I think it's going to be hopefully, a dynamic like that, where it's fluid and it actually impacts other things than that single person. And the last thing that I noticed, two last things I noticed of minor note, the draft classes, they said they're going to try and make them more accurate. But one thing that I thought was incredibly genius by 2K this year is personality traits. We saw in this major NBA offseason how important personality is in deciding where players went. Kemba Walker wants to win. He's a team player, so he decided to go to Boston instead of taking the money. Kyrie wanted to be the man. Jimmy Butler wanted to be the man, so they're going to their own markets. So there are going to be 3 new personality traits for players that may not be assigned to every player, and hopefully they come out with more than this. There will be media ringmaster, which, as it sounds, is pretty self-explanatory. Warm weather fan, which teams in the South will benefit from, and finance savvy, which is where they want the money, they want the better contract, and they may not want to win as much. But all of these things, overall, this report is extremely exciting. So many new things. That's what we've always wanted for MyGM. In the past 2 years, they've really stepped it up. They always only focused on my career. But it looks like MyGM is really starting to gain popularity in relation to my career in NBA 2K. Overall, guys, this is a huge report. I'm so excited based off what I saw. Please let me know what you thought of the report. Again, look in the description. It should be the first link in the description to read the report yourself. Let me know what you guys thought of all the new additions, which ones are going to be good, which ones are going to be bad. And guys, hopefully I will be back soon with more updates for NBA 2K20 MyGM. I'll see you next time.